Picture this, a massive construction project, a steel skeleton rising up against the skyline at dawn. Everything looks totally normal, right on schedule? But what if the whole thing, from its deepest concrete footings to the top of the highest crane, was actually designed to hide a secret? We're about to dig into a story where the deception is literally built into the foundation.
You know, this is the feeling that hits a brand new structural engineer on just his third day on the job. It's not something he can measure with his tools. It's just this deep gut instinct that something is fundamentally out of place. And that feeling? Well, that's where our story really begins. So let's meet our guy. He's an engineer named Arjun. And when he shows up on site, the first thing he notices is the silence. For a project this huge, it's unsettling. That quiet is the very first red flag. I mean, the cranes are still. The workers are moving like they're trying not to make a sound. It feels controlled, almost like the site itself is holding its breath, trying to keep a secret. This whole vibe immediately puts Arjun on high alert. And here we go, the first real interaction. Arjun is just doing his job, you know? He wants to double-check the load distribution, but the site supervisor, a guy named Ravi, just shuts him down immediately. It's subtle, but the message is loud and clear. Don't look too closely. This is the first wall Arjun hits, and believe me, it's not made of concrete. That feeling of wrongness just won't go away, so Arjun decides to move from just a gut feeling to a real investigation. He starts looking for actual proof, physical clues that'll tell him he's not crazy, and it really doesn't take him long to find what he's looking for. And boom, there it is, the first hard piece of evidence. Arjun, being an expert, just has to touch a concrete column to know that Ravi's story about it curing overnight is impossible. It's a small lie, sure, but it's a crack in the official story, and now Arjun knows exactly where to apply pressure. So he pulls out the blueprints, and that's when his worst fears are confirmed. What he's seeing and touching in the real world does not match the plans. His conclusion is professional and it's chilling. This isn't some minor mistake. This is a critical flaw. This column will fail. This right here shows you the deception in plain sight. The foundation isn't as deep as it's supposed to be. There are entire layers of steel rebar just missing. Now, these aren't sloppy mistakes, no way. These are precise, calculated changes designed to go completely unnoticed, all while weakening the tower that everyone can see. So just as Arjun thinks he's getting a handle on the shortcuts and the corner cutting, he stumbles onto something else, something that blows the entire mystery wide open. This is the moment the problem stops being about saving a little money and becomes something else entirely. Behind this flimsy wall that has no business being there, he finds a whole other foundation. This isn't just a change to the plans. This is a completely separate, secret project running right under his nose. And this is when he goes straight to Ravi, demanding answers. It's the logical question, right? The professional question. If this massive structure isn't in the official designs, who signed off on it? Who's responsible? Ravi's answer is just 2 words, and it's absolutely chilling because it changes everything. This isn't coming from some foreman trying to cut corners. This deception, this secret, it comes from the very top. The people paying for this whole project are the ones who ordered it. So now Arjun gets it. He understands the engineering compromise. They've been stealing steel and concrete, deliberately weakening the public tower. But for what? Where did all those resources go? What could possibly be more important than the skyscraper they're supposed to be building? And there it is, the reveal. All the missing rebar, the secret concrete pours, all the structural compromises. It was all to build a heavily fortified vault deep underground. In that single instant, the entire purpose of this massive project just completely flips on its head. So let's just be perfectly clear about what's going on here. The massive office tower that everyone in the city sees going up, it's a facade. It's a huge, incredibly expensive piece of decoration. Its only real job is to be a cover story for a secret, ultra-secure vault built to store things that powerful people don't want anyone to know about. So now Arjun understands everything. The quiet workers, Ravi's excuses, the secret plans. He knows the truth. And that knowledge makes him both incredibly powerful and unbelievably vulnerable. He's suddenly facing a choice that could define his entire career, and maybe even his life. Arjun tries to feel out his options, but Ravi just shuts him down with 2 little words.
The threat isn't spoken out loud, but it's hanging in the air, heavy and clear, especially when a couple of security guards just happen to appear at the only exit. Arjun is trapped. So, what are his choices? He can refuse to sign the paperwork, uphold his professional duty and protect public safety, but that means going up against some very powerful, very dangerous people. And he can't stop thinking about that word Ravi used, transferred. Where did the last engineer who asked too many questions really go? The debate in his head is cut short by one single, cold command. A clipboard is shoved in front of him, a pen is offered. There's no more room to talk. The choice has already been made for him. And with just the stroke of a pen, the whole deception becomes permanent. What was a conspiracy on paper is now becoming a physical reality, about to be sealed forever under thousands of tons of concrete. And just look how fast it all happens once he gives in. The ink on his signature is barely dry before you hear the roar of the concrete mixers starting up again. Every new layer of concrete buries that secret deeper, making it completely irreversible. That tower isn't a public building anymore. It's a monument to a lie. And this is the last haunting image. To the outside world, to anyone driving by at the end of the day, nothing has changed. The project looks like a success, just another part of the city skyline. But now, its very foundation is built on a secret that supports it in more than one way. Now, this story might be a work of fiction, but it leaves us with a very real question to think about. When we look at all the massive structures around us, not just buildings, but corporations, institutions, what are their true purposes? And what kind of invisible compromises are buried deep down in their foundations?